저게 저게 심진기 된 심진기 동화세야 단 디기주야 되라 아니 상예 주민 상예기 아니 심진이야 디기주에게 탑람때 아니 니티냠소 렌주 녀모베게 동화야 녀모베 녀보때 대검주 냠소 렌주제 아니 되네 아니 상예기야 심진 탐지 고려 동안다 탈바 탐지 기고 발로 거바 지고 오래마도 상예기 람 디네기 안 소수기 냠림 맞아 바이나 아니 가서 상예기 동아세다 심진기 디기 줍돼야죠 말레스 디네 자다 상예기 탑람 가르치 오르스네 디기 줍에 탑람 된 바도 동아세 녀모베 녀보티에 탑람 디팅이레스 디템발라 데네 아니 가서래 로마는 기디냠소 랭고레스 디냠들 제발에 데네 산 탈바탐지 교고 톱투레스 상예기 조와 심젤이야 펜바제 아주 두시는 거래스는 먼저 데네게 쉬루와
Good afternoon. So this morning, it was we continued to look at the qualities of a spiritual teacher, but overall within the context that in order to attain liberation from suffering, one has to train in the paths that the Buddha himself presented, cultivate these various paths of spiritual development within ourselves. This is the way to achieve lasting happiness. And the Buddha was able to present the complete and unmistaken path because he had himself attained it. And thereby, based on his own unmistaken experience, he could present the complete trainings that students need to engage in to attain lasting happiness, freed from all suffering. Therefore, with our founder teacher being the primary or the principal role model, his is the example that we should follow, which is that in order to benefit others, we have to cultivate the paths of the Dharma within ourselves, thereby being ever more skilled in how we can guide others to attain their own liberation from suffering.
야 판신리아 판도제네 현심제 탐제 동하다 자 디기 인준의 타바 탐지기 말람로 거버 세겐데 타바 침베기 외신인데라 다 현리아 판보 주고제 대자 랑의 연된데라 안에 라바스미 연된다 안에 딩에지 연된 되네 가서 라바 가서 수준이 연된다 되네 안에 딩에지나 되네 셔라게 라베 연된 라바스미 냠내제 될이야 룽구 추바제 안 동바이 도바 안 될에 Lomale yende lawat papa said, or that the Shangi doing Jabala, she gave a shin de la social unit in the score, the Martian Labores, the Sosumena, Shala Laviaroma, Shani Labje, Tishale, Yamsu Lenju, then it Tarbatam Chikimako Gores. That in the Yubatam Yeden, net the Shali Lavala, Malaptanti. And this is Mano Martubache, Datachi Songachi, Shekores, Tisnada, Dinian, Shanlia, Zewakore, Niche, Dungata Jana Simpe, Zewachi, Zewakune, large Shekores, and Delia, and the Chik, Lelo Machebachi, Zunduki, Shanlia, Dine, Pampachubalia, Jose Joaki, Sim, Jova Dimbuchores, and Dinezadaji. Yane yado Sonya the nation, Yane and the Ganga Cheodu, and Delia and the Servo come to Serbian Gures, Deneza, Denigi and the Judan said Sambina, Denishalia, Shen Dunga said that Tikitu Lamdunje, and Shen Tikitu Dunga said the Taba Tamjiki Kovalko 2 years, Deneza, Tabachimaki Vision in the La Kishutinach Gures, that cousin that they decor just to show and to shoot Savarada.
In order to achieve the exalted omniscient state of enlightenment, just like Buddha Shakyamuni, one needs to rely on a qualified Mahayana spiritual teacher, someone who can guide us in the cultivation of the training shared by beings of varying capacities. In order for a teacher to be qualified, he or she needs a variety of qualities. So we saw that there are 10 qualities divided into two groups. The first are the 6 which are cultivated within, and then the 4 are cultivated in order to guide others. So the 6 to be cultivated within are the first 3, which relate to the 3 higher trainings. So that of discipline, calm, and complete peace, which relate to the higher trainings in ethics, concentration, and wisdom. And in addition to that, the teacher needs a quality of having good qualities that surpass that of the student, at least in the area where our area of study. Fifthly, they must have a wealth of scriptural knowledge, and the 6th quality is that they should have understood suchness or realized emptiness. So these are the 6 qualities that the teacher needs to cultivate, and in terms of being a skilled guide, there's a further 4. They need to have a motivation of loving concern for their students, so a motivation that is focused on the welfare, on the benefit of their student, a motivation that is free of self-interest. Moreover, they must be skilled in instructing, so they must be not merely knowledgeable, but skilled in guiding the students, in cultivating the qualities of the path within themselves. Moreover, they must be both diligent, in other words, have joyous perseverance, and never disheartened, so have the quality of patience. And these both are aided by their quality of loving kindness. So these then are the 10 qualities of a Mahayana spiritual teacher, and we looked at them in full. We completed looking at them this morning. Before we continue with the text, if you have some questions that we didn't have the opportunity to get to earlier, so if you have some questions, then feel free to ask now. Peter.
I think I heard it right. Tell me if I got it wrong. About the difference between complete peace and suchness. I think I heard that complete peace meant realizing selflessness, and suchness meant realizing selflessness of phenomena. Does that imply that complete peace is the selflessness of the self?
Can I just check my understanding? If I understand correctly, the third quality of the teacher, that of complete peace, refers to having realized selflessness, whereas that of understanding or realizing suchness refers to realizing selflessness of persons, of phenomena. So does that mean then that complete peace refers to the realizing of selflessness of persons? Yes, then that is correct. So the complete peace refers to the realization of selflessness of persons. Yeah, so as you said.
Thank you.
Okay. Andy?
Yeah, I'll probably get in trouble with this one, but from Friday, I'm having trouble with the inferential cognition example that you gave, and then I thought, well, why isn't everything inferential? Because you talk about the sound of the dog, your example, the sound of the dog in the forest. That's an inferential cognition of the dog. Whereas if you look at it, if you see the dog, that's a direct. But surely the ear sense consciousness experiencing the sound of dog is knowing dog. And just the same as an eye sense consciousness of seeing dog is knowing dog. Or you could say that it's still inferential if it's seeing the dog, because really you're only seeing the body of the dog. So you see how I can't split up why one is inferential and one is not.
Maybe I'll answer it, and then you tell me if it's still not clear. Because it was when you hear the sound of the barking dog, you infer where the dog is. Where the dog is. It's only when you see the dog that you know it is where you inferred. So there was that bit that was missing. So it was knowing where the dog was. And this you can only know when you see it. Whereas when you're hearing, you're inferring it 3 rooms down, or it's outside, or whatever. So there was that in there, which was maybe missed. The inference was because you inferred where it was, but when you saw it there, you knew it was there.
So it's still a direct knowing of dog.
But this was in relation to where it is. So it's not just knowing that's a barking dog, but the barking dog is outside or inside, for example.
All right,
Okay, then that's good. Okay. Cameron, did you have a question too?
Oh, yes, I did.
Sure.
We were talking about order in the last session at one point. I was just, I'm trying to understand what order is. I heard that it is a lack of mindfulness, but I was wondering if it, and that it is actually related to the general affliction of ignorance. And I was wondering if that is correct, or if there's a different interpretation of what the meaning of order is implying.
So maybe you can say mental factor of boredom. Can Gina say a little bit more about what it is? Is it connected to ignorance?
Ignorance.
Yeah, to ignorance. Because this was, if I remember correctly, it was in the context of patience.
That's right,
yeah.
practicing patience.
Yeah.
The teacher which should practice patience and not people will.
Okay.
레로로 책으로 나야야를 시행이 되면 봐 책을 레로 책으로 마도 디모다 지다 디모단 제와 여르베스나다 제와 딩구로와 규디무치네 용구로와 규디무라 때네 기고로데 규다 윤지게 섬단도 여러와 그런 디모 인다 마인스 웬다디 자다다다 책만에 지나 지나 디모글라 유용어 그런 거 유들 마싱바데 집되바들라 디모 세고 그러다 지나 디모들레 직몽부 여러와다 다데 간속이 야와 체여도 그런 게 레로세도 그런 게 디제기 되님 제대 매버게 미디어바로시 델레 레로세 민다고와 나고 규팅 디몰레테네 기거를 디모 규칙으로 와도 견지거로 그래서 유인내수 판도 개변 여바데 야고 마싱베이도 안에 델레로 기고로 와다.
So yes, you could say that being bored or being lazy is related to ignorance. Because ignorance is of many types. Usually when we refer it would be the ignorance of not knowing how something exists in reality. But here you could say that laziness or boredom would be linked to that. What we're expressing here is that one needs to be patient when one doesn't feel like engaging yet again. So what's holding one back is a laziness or a boredom with needing to engage. So it will have a relationship with ignorance, but not one of any particular significance.
Does all boredom relate to ignorance?
In any context.
In any context.
Netan karina, nyoto yina, vidang timuk yamena marikba. Netan karina.
Gari ine de dewa yibashi da tsabi ki chashin chama samdaan da kwa karsana nga zuki nyomo berikdi nyomo be gyuzo wa timo densila dine kigo re se de tsabi gyu chama samda de dewa yungure ina kodo dile ane jiga injimiji gari ine ko chasante timo de dewa yungua siyo marwa.
So certainly, if one traces back deeply enough, it will definitely relate to ignorance, because there'll be the ignorance of self-grasping. But whether on a coarser level there's a relationship with ignorance or not, then that one would need to look at the time, at that whatever the boredom was about.
Gabriele kala ke sayin ma de bara shung de me khala sa de me de dimu dan misi jo yo ka ke mwa ta tsebi ge khoti ngan ju nyo mo ba de tsa pa cha shin cha wasam ta du su du ba na ka le li go resne e ne dimu den zile de li go resya de ne shin yung go ma de kodu an khala sayin ma de Gabriele khala so ge ta sayin ma de bara shi na de su dimu dan cha was kodu yung go cha ma.
So for example, if you don't feel like cooking, you don't even feel like eating, you just, I can't be bothered. Maybe that has a relationship to ignorance, but if it has, it will be kind of distant. So if there is a relationship, it may only be distant, but one would need to look at the individual circumstance.
You could be bored with samsara, like not really, just at one time bored with it, not sort of your attachments.
Di yungurwa kasan anzu gi lui di le da nyomo onge jungwa yanza lui de la tene de chi ko lung do ta di chone nyop do cha da de ne gi kasan le lo kya da chi yungurwa jisan du chine zai gyu de ne ge desu kan de le bre de ne ka de le li usne phungpo la de ne phungpo nga bo ka ro le de yungurwa desu gi zai gyu de kan de li go sa ne de ya chu de den se mari pa de ka sa nga phungpo du de ro wa gyu nyomo be le da nyomo wal jungwa ro wa 대단 레다 녀모 자유 규수는 된지 디모 말이 발 투고로 지나데 되니게 두체 집 처부 참모 집에네 그 디모 말이 발 투고로 와 코와콜라 nhập 도레스나 코와드네 nhập 도레스나 코와드는 때데 지게 nhập 도레스 베다 교시로 와데 코와드네 닝보 민도선배 연구로 와데 녀도 교시에서 와데 코와를 교대 코와들 닝보 대대 닝보 민도선배 삼을 연구로 와데 디가 되네 디 연구로 와데 nhập 나지나 자기 말이다디 자기 말에
So it gets a little difficult how words are used in different cultures. So in terms of samsara, one would say disenchanted. One wouldn't say one is bored. So one may get disenchanted about samsara. So once again, I'm suffering. I just continue making the same mistakes. And you're seeing this circular movement of once again. And in this way, you feel disenchanted. So in English, one may experience that as being bored with it, but this isn't how in Tibetan it would be expressed. They'd use the word disenchanted rather than being bored or fatigued with it. Okay.
I just have something came up in the discussion. We actually heard you say Shine. Is that a translation for Kalma in Tibetan?
Yeah.
What's the Tibetan word for meditative stabilization or special insight?
So meditative stabilization is timuk.
Yeah.
Timuk. And this is often translated as concentration or stabilization or meditative stabilization. Single point of concentration there is a word for that, but that is calm abiding or shine. And then
But isn't special insight is...
then special insight. Yeah, then special insight is lakdong.
I thought you...
That's special insight.
Stabilization.
No, no.
Oh, okay.
No, meditative stabilization is what would be developed. So in the list of the mental factors, there's one that's translated either as stabilization or it's translated as concentration. So this is the one we all have.
Timuk.
That's timuk. Not timuk, tingazin, sorry. No, timuk is an ignorance. Tingazin.
Tingazin. Yeah, okay, that's better. And shine, you were saying, is calm abiding.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it literally is, she is calm. So like we had Shiva for the second quality. Yeah, and then abiding.
And calm is
Special insight, yeah.
Okay, thanks very much.
Or I usually say meditative insight.
Oh, that's what you said.
That's how you say meditative insight, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Not meditative stabilization, which is the concentration.
Okay.
Okay.
I got it.
Yeah, it's difficult. There's not set language for this because we don't really have these words in English. This is why I don't use concentration for tingazin because it's very different from single point of concentration. In other words, you're saying concentration gets developed into concentration, which is a bit odd.
Yeah, thanks.
야, 나는 마 사와치로이나. 나 대신 저기 타바쳔베 계획신이 기보숨이 람이림 바파 강사림 유튜브라 티베 계획신인데라 다 챙겨주던 템바치고 그래서 등이 챙겨주던 템베 계획신인데 계획신인 초도 규바 약쇼디 있어다. 나 되네게 계획신인 챙겨주던 템바지 말아봐나 다 될래도스 정화디 챙겨가는 거 그래서 다 지소래. 보도회 셴네스 라바 숨당 딩이 도바당 닝제와당 나조인스 저다.
So we've looked at the 10 qualities of a Mahayana spiritual teacher, and it's ideal if she or he has all 10 of these. But if not, then there's a quotation now from Geshe Thubten on presenting teachers having not quite all 10, but still being of great benefit. So at the bottom of page 34 starts the quotation. The 3 trainings, the realization of suchness and loving kindness, these 5 are essential.
언제다 라바스면 주름이 라바 딩이진 라바 네시르기 라바숨체 안에 동방이 도바다 네지 닝체 조보지 딩아보디 조월이 제가 다 딩아보디 예팅이지나 근데 다 챙겨주대 덴바게인지 개인들의 차상하지 말는데 딩아 예팅인지 트라반다 개외신 디고레사 송도와.
So if a teacher does not have all 10 qualities, these are the main ones. So if they have these qualities of the 3 higher trainings in ethics, concentration, and wisdom, as well as the realization of emptiness, as well as loving kindness, then these are the main qualities that they really should have.
라오 린도 잡아야 잡아 아니 레 제바야 메데 메데 나마가 예베 종나 수여발래 펜스 네 년된라 마케바메 네 가서래 되네 윤시제 제바양 디군지 엔데레 미고와 미고 냠발레 미셰데스 나유 나보 예베 수녀와라 펜송 송소스.
My master Shangtsung is not highly or broadly learned. He cannot bear disappointment, and he does not even thank those who have been kind to him. However, since he has the above-mentioned 5, whoever is in his presence benefits. Nyenton is by no means eloquent, and each time he dedicates an offering, the only thing he knows is that nobody understands his explanation, but since he has those 5, people near him benefit.
Zadangi Ijipoto Sungarongi, Lama Korong, Lama, Tashang Zumba said, Gula, Mando Tuba me, said Dinigita, Shung Chasa, Tuba Yachimbo Mares, or that Dinigi, Bendaguna, Sidanga Zigida, Jiu, Bene. Semzambada, Umabada, Dinegi, Tenyu Bala Soba, the Jeraman, Loso Shung, so Nipa, Tuba Manguyoba, Dinigi, Dusina, and Chasada, and Dinigi, Tuga Chimbo Mares, Chasalia, Dusia Mares, and your Suba Mes, and Dinigi, your bed, Chikusubi, Yamada, Yakan, Dinichi, the Chuchi, Servum to a Dinigi, a Kulish, you can to her at Dinichi Mares, your Suba, maybe as. Undusene yo mares jisa da lao rindu chakpa ya chakpa lao rindu chakpa re cheba ya mes da le lao se de ben jige le lao re shi chen ji men do lao rin din chen do de din chen do chakpa re cheba ya me se de da de din chen bo chakpa la ne su su ge din la me ge rang la ya din chen bo cheba de le ya and de le ya and din ya wo ma che be ne din chakpa su lo da da de din din chakpa se de din chakpa se de ne ge din chakpa ji yong go ma le su yo ma le yine nga ma nga yue be se de je da ye ka so le la ba sun ye nyam len da ane ji ge din ye to ba da ane ji ge du xin ne la be yuen de de yue de ba le se ka se din ye to ba ji nin ze wa se din ga de yo le se je da din ne za yo ba yin sa zhong na su yo ba le pen se de ko ron zi ya che shu a su zhou bi ne ane ko ron ma che xie ji de sim le pan ba da ane pan do ya wu yong guo le se ne.
Looking at the first account, my master Shangchun is not highly or broadly learned, so one can infer perhaps amongst the four tenets he doesn't know the differences very well, or is only able to present one or two of the tenets in detail. So there will be some areas of his knowledge that is still undeveloped. And moreover, he cannot bear disappointment. His patience is somewhat limited. And moreover, his way of engaging with others also perhaps is a bit lacking. We see that he does not even thank those who have been kind to him, to those who have helped him. And then it goes on to say, however, as he has those above-mentioned 5 qualities, whoever in his presence benefits.
Sonye de lia ane chike denige songdang de lia yakura kukure se denige ane nyingchi wo kishi denige chike milia dusche yaku denige songdang de yo mare asaje ane medyo ane chike yuanxie re cheba ya di kunji dare migo nyamba le mishe se de da kanjele Koran zuki da yuanxie se de da kewa ngowa jebyon du denegi ane jeba ngowa jeba dene jeba diya ane kunji se da denegi da tsikti ge chakuro ina ane jige yago karlagi nasa karjigi nasa gotuk marwa dene za dusche ne go nyamba dene shi yungo maraya saji sungudwa jena deji nga zo kar sung sen deji nga ya ma kai pa ji xi ni ji xi de en jin ba xie tang ni bo da cha sang go tu ba gu zhe de ne ji de ye de ge chao bo la jin de cha sang la go tu ye ga le go la che ge de ne ge da ga je mo wa jia bian de ne ge ji xi de yang du xi ne nga zo ha mo wa de ne yong guo le ji zan de ni xie ji.
With regards to another Lama, Nyington, so he is by no means eloquent, so he's not very skilled in speech. And it gives an illustration that when he's reciting a dedication, so this is a standard dedication people will be used to using, people will struggle to understand what he's saying, even though he's reciting something that they should be familiar with. So this Nyington is clearly not very skilled in speech.
ngabo yebe si de ngaba digida chike laba su nyamne na tonya toma itobe toba da ne de je zewi ki yune yoba inza ngabo yebe nyawa le pen song so se de su nyawa le pen delia an so so de zalia chu shu nen ji nyamlen ji kin yoba na an delia la mi du sin ga na de 판도 친구 용고레스 판도 친구 용고도 sin de ne song 용고 요래 sin de song so se.
But with both of these teachers, despite having some deficits in their capacity, they have those 5 qualities of the 3 higher trainings, as well as the realization of emptiness and loving kindness. And therefore, whomever is in their presence benefits greatly.
나네네 양 저게 따nga 줄이야 되게 라마 되게 아주 많이 봐 있는 뒤기 원게 대해서 되게 nye 카고라지는 dim에는 안 가르쳐 버려서다 디송을다 내대베 천이 조버 창와 뒤기 원게 nye 가나항 균시 체와다 윤den시 차 윤den 천년발레 미된바당 윤den 하바시라 된거버 송소서.
The text continues, even if it is difficult in this day and age to find someone with a complete set of qualities like that, it is said that you should not rely on anyone whose faults predominate or whose faults equal their excellent qualities, but on someone whose excellent qualities exceed their faults.
Lava sumi nyamlen da tenpa dang, ane chige dongyu doba do duken, ane niji chenpo yue dingen chi manye bayi na dine karche gore labdo. Da dine lama nigi minu se begi da nga lama dine shiragi minu dine za nga chu chigi me, nyamlen chigi me se dewa bayi na sosol gyong rewa. Chizan gyong me za dele, anta lama chigi dine ki manye bayi na dusu da dine ki onge dine lama shiragi me bayi na, ane lama gane chiyo na chu shu gore lamna jisi gore. 대대비 천이 조벌 창와 뉴기 원의 예가와 세대 되네게 라면 천이 되지 천이 주다 된바다 안디 원래 주되면 많이 천이가다 된바서 아 대소에 되네게 천이가다 된바서 많이 봐야는데 안디 lumbudiwa 되네게 라마 되네 매되겐 안 매나다 주시하게 돈을 좀 봐요래 안디 지나는 가르쳐 그래서 다시 되네 가르쳐 그래서 리고로 봐 많이 봐도 뉴기 원의 예가와 안데네가 나는 가르쳐왔으네 라마 균시 쳐와다 윤된 천년발의 미된 봤을 라마들이야 균나 윤된이 있는 균숙 쳐와주나 니팅교 말해서 맞된 바지 나 윤된 나야 소소라 윤된도 윤된 직바로 지내 내려때나 안 대신에 양주 야게 줘야 매 사발라야면서 딜레 맞된 바지 안 가르쳐왔으네 되는 소소를 윤된 하와주나 디텐나지 오래서 왔다 된거 오래서 그래서 대르벨 라마데 돈연 또 매나양 소소리에 연된 하와지 랍투에 유반에 디텐나 디기리에서 올다가지네.
What Lama Tsongkhapa is writing here is that if one cannot find a teacher with all 10 qualities or even these 5 qualities that were specifically mentioned, do not give up. Do not then think it's hopeless, I must try and do it on my own. Rather than rely on a teacher who, at the very least, their good qualities exceed their faults. Don't rely on someone whose faults exceed their good qualities, because thereby they may well have a greater negative influence on you. But rely on someone, even though they may lack at least 5 of these qualities, that one can say in general, though, that their good qualities exceed their faults.
자, 데네게다 말아봐야 라마 수수기 냠렌제게 되바 예반 최슈에 롭전제게 되바 있나 데네게 라마 많이 받는다 제 롭전 지금 말아 구되어 봐야다 롭전제 고업티 조르고 봐 데네자다 라레 윤데 하바지 nanti chi yuwa na disi pa tianze, an disi pa lobchon xe kore esaji, dini ki sungore, dini che bayi na to sosuke, sosuke ma xing pa, nyamne che rinpa di maa je, sosu lobchon ragyo rwa.
The meaning of this last bit of advice is, do not let this opportunity that we've achieved in this life, do not let it go to waste. Do not think that I haven't found a perfect, a fully qualified spiritual teacher, therefore I will try and do it on my own. Do not make that mistake. One needs guidance. One needs guidance in terms of gaining knowledge that one lacks, as well as how to integrate that within oneself. This is imperative. Do not let this opportunity go to waste.
Venerable Lobsang Dorje, Ningen Buddha Shuji, and the Jig Term Labda Tunigan, Tsing Tsawa, Jig Kabache, Maravena, then Buddha Lobdom, Majabana Gora Gurva, that the nigger loved again the number de la Mavina, that's also Giants and it been to make a Kuba Janik and Mina, that is also Labarit and social Lavadi Lab to Gurua. Just like the Nation, Javana, Sosu Yundenic, Yaya, Kalagansam Yagurua. Then the Kalagans Yagurona, and Dele Yagur, low Kashir, Yorjig, look at DJ Lagilich Naji, Dele Lapeg, Yunden, Lapeg in the Tushitaya, say the Cock of Shagurua. Is that the name that didn't hear that man to get down bonnet in the Judah Tempa, the other Tempa, the Mania, and Raleigh. Gun Shukchimu made a rally in the Lapa, the Nijili Pat, to danger Dizanaya, and Lobsang Dorje, the Enzar Suzuki, mashing by Mongoji and Shin to rest, the nation Yamneju to the Kalagazamlia, Ajik, Jella, the Lohashi, the Niga Jambi, to suit the Denis Jelly, and Yan Lama Shanda, Dile, Kabat Papadi, and go up Toyago, go over Raguazure.
This can be likened to a situation in society where a young person's graduated from school and they're wanting to go to university, and they're wanting to study at a particularly perhaps famous university with highly respected professors, but they don't get into that university. They don't get into their first choice university. So clearly it would be a mistake for them then just to give up on their higher education. They should rather go and study what they're interested in at another university. So too here. If one finds oneself in a place where one does not have a fully qualified teacher, then rely on one who has those 5 qualities, or if even such a teacher cannot be found where one is, then rely on a teacher whose qualities exceed their faults. And by relying on such a teacher, on their guidance in the areas where they do have great qualities, then by relying on their advice, putting that advice into training, you yourself will be developing, you yourself will be accumulating great virtue. And as your merit increases in this way, certainly opportunities will come in the future. One will then meet a fully qualified teacher in the future. So therefore, make the most of the opportunity that you have. And by developing qualities within you, you will have ever greater opportunities in the future.
Dedar namdul dubiki lamani tenji dume zawa yimbe lama tembra deba namgini dedar shebra jela chenye dan tembra chowa la bebra jashin loma tembra deba namgi yang chenye deda de tembra jawa la bedos.
Then the final paragraph in this section. Such a guru who brings about liberation is the root of what you have aspired to for so long. Therefore, those wishing to rely on a guru should keep them in mind and make an effort to find someone with the right qualities. Those wishing for students to rely on them should also strive to acquire these characteristics.
Dedara namdrol drupike lamani is the dedara namdrol drupas and number draw korwiki nyukowa kowi dunga tadal dreje and lam because tarbi go toyagi toba di tobike tokugori di teber jepiki di lam yamli rimbating lamadini and dengi dume zawa yimbe jisang anjugi nga dumas는 nga 톱자 타둑 타바다 탐제 캠비 고방 토바 집에 탑란 댐비기다 자와딜라마 디레스 자와레스.
Such a guru who brings about liberation is the root of what you have aspired to for so long. So this refers to a student who's developed a yearning for liberation from the sufferings of samsara, the very root of the liberation that they will achieve is the guidance from their teacher.
Dine zada lama tempor deba namgi deda shepra jala sidu jisa dine za sosugi da tarpa da tamje kimbe ko lam nyamle je lama tingi sebegi dine nyamle je deba donyer gi dumba je lama je tingo sambagi na dine lamba ten duhendige deda shepra ja sidu dine lama yende na chechue da dine temba je lama dine dabo tezu ya hago wa che ani dine 생이대 템바 초월에 배버려 자고 시대 되게 라마 된지 고고에서 연된 된지 템바 고고에서 하고 왔지 되는 하고는 되는 생이대 템바 연대 대다의 템바 라마디 바 야가도 지배주신 세네 엔비 라마데 세 라마디 니에서는 라마디 된지 되는 냠레젤 배주시 오래서 배버려 자신했어.
Therefore, those wishing to rely on a guru should keep them in mind and make an effort to find someone with the right qualities. Therefore, someone who aspires to liberation or an enlightenment, knowing both that the root of their good qualities they aspire to develop is the Lama, and knowing the qualities of the Lama, they should make effort to find a genuine and authentic teacher. So what we have translated as someone with the right qualities, it's normally expressed as a genuine teacher or an authentic teacher.
다 디니게 라마 템바 다 라마 챙이데 템바 데 안주게 당보는 안주 간다 사고래 간에 세월에 디니 간에 싱그레데 마싱바네 땡 간에 숭고래 셈베 당 안주 디니시 직삼 섬그와 가삼고래 데 원이야 레디오로 당주게 다네 라마 챙이데 템바데 긴다 마인 템바 챙이데 템바 레도 레면도 연데 디네 두어미도 셈베 안주게 당보는 안주 신야데 갈에 하고로와 So
all this that being said, the truth is it's really quite difficult for us to know whether a teacher is qualified or not, whether a teacher is authentic or genuine, whether they have all 10 of these qualities or just a portion of them. It is quite difficult to know.
지금 이제 최셔도도 남번에 라마 된거야서 말하다 당모 코로나야 아주 야고지 신매와자 라마 맞된 바지 라마 디자인에 다 원学的 디즈니스 가가로와 다 아주 당보 최슈의 당보 최슈 파슈니 아도 신은 지게 갈강점 로전 제도 다지 갈강점 하고 그러와디 지 군노야 안 지게 판도 제도 시기에 천년자다 년고다 되네기 되는 시기에서 배우고로 여바디 데스 파치드 나 데스야 하고야기 여러바다 하고 투야기 되네 토네 하고 투야고 근데 아직 마 송두급이 아직 수준인데 안지게 주연된데 되네 직 지셰바 다다 차게 되면 또 소소거는 남주여제다 되네기 안지게 제바제다 되네기 삼단에 안지게 연구로 받대 지나들 인데 마신 바이네 사람은 무시되는 지게 아니 야야야자 시되어 뭐도 지금 믹스 사워로 제가 시에면 용시버로 봐 지나디네서 소수기네도 진당보 호라네 최시되 갈라 백거라 라마치인스 마삼바제 최시에 되버더니 dum바여바지 제 최시 라마디딘 곧 지게 당보 라메기 다 연된다 되네시 균다야 삼마다와제 지단에 도시는 당번 라마 템바지 도시 되 최슈도 다시 제약이 다시 해줘야 바제 안디 멤버야 지랑게 넘균이 아직 랑게 나지게 이시시살라 베네 데네게 라마 샨다세기 안도 결혼 어디시네 안지게 라마 디스네 데네 약과들 약고여서 안 규제 용으로 와 유별제는 라마 디소데 결혼 디스네 최슈도 지네 안도 제고래서데 안지 지금 규제 용으로 와 어디네 지나가도 지난 소소하게 대도시네 대 최슈 냠내 지지진데는 도시나 인글리글레진 하고도 그러와 Lama Shandagi, Kuran Ditin, Water, Bene, Jizunra, Benarazu, that's a run shoot you call the Severan, the Severan, Kuran Lama Disan, she said, so I showed what the Lamik Shandagi, Koran to you, but didn't the Yahweh, Koran to you, but Dennis on Kuran Diesel church in the Yahweh said, Yama. Military by the Mangojo Lama tells you, or that you are in Kuran Lama Diesel shows. And Lama church shaded the shaded. Or that thing, Kuran Lama Diesel, Tamal Lama Marvazel, Lama Marbigida, Yonso Soba Coronia, and Udushin Yamler, but he may not teach in Dushin, and Yamle Yakuchurwa. Chisn Melari Batambo to the Lama Gisel, did and Church, she Lama Dio. And Kuran Lama Diesel shows in Shandashil Dam, the Koronga Gorova, Lamadigi, and call it the Tata Chagdu Mendoza, ya did it, Koran Cabat Powers down. And Lama Diesel, Lamadigi, Chokara Legend, or the Kuran Lama Diesel shows. And these in Lama Marvazalat, says Lama Marvaz and Tamad Lama Mabigi, Yamlan Chasna that dent to you also saw but dent to it, and you Judah then big in the road, Lama Marvatili, you Lamig do stench, didn't call San Jacob taught. Matoba Lamigi, Shana Saba Demo, Lamati Timbaro, and Dina Shinda, to Lamig Soso Ichi, Lamigi and Lama Shana, Disney Diligent UHA, Ungorwa.
It's especially challenging when we aren't deeply learned in the Dharma to be able to assess the quality of a teacher. So in the case of receiving teachings, with initiations it's a separate matter, but when one is receiving teachings from someone, it's better to receive many teachings from them, developing your own knowledge, and whilst you are receiving many teachings from them, observe their qualities. And over a period of time, you're both getting to know the Dharma, develop the Dharma within yourself, and you are slowly over time observing the teacher and seeing if she or he is consistent in displaying the good qualities that are presented here. And moreover, in terms of coming to assess the qualities of the teacher, a few points to make from the perspective of the inquiring students is they should be in particular looking to see if their descriptions, their teachings, are in accordance with the great texts, or if they differ or are contradictory to the great texts. In other words, are they reinventing the wheel? Are they making things up? So if they are an authentic or a genuine teacher, so if they are a teacher who is highly learned, what they are saying will be in accordance with the texts. And over time, this you can judge for yourself, as both you develop your own knowledge ever more greatly, and you spend more time receiving teachings from them. So that's the one key point. The second key point is, in this period of assessment, you are focusing on ascertaining their good qualities. You are not looking for faults. If faults appear to your mind, that's fine, but put them to one side. You're there to ascertain their good qualities, not look for faults. So that then is a second key point. Another way that one can come to rely on a teacher is if you have already established a relationship with one teacher, they then can guide you to another and say, you go study with that teacher, or you can trust that teacher. They are reliable. So for example, when Lama Zopa was in our world, those who relied on him could rely on his judgment in terms of who to rely on. Or from the classical accounts of Milarepa's life story, we saw how he went from one teacher to and then was advised to go to another, and was then advised to go to another, eventually culminating with his meeting of Lama Marpa, on whom he relied until he attained his enlightenment. So this then is another technique, but it is dependent on having already established a stable relationship of trust.
아니네. 어두세 되네. 나되네. 로마 템버 되바 남기 생이 되다데 템바 배바라 차워세디 다디스 워드. 나 소소기 당이 콘도 ngi loma ten ngi loma chi ngi khonzole gi jigin sebe ta loma ten bar de ba nam gi side da lama di yi ngi khonzole loma ten je ngi khonzole je khonzole ngi loma chi ngi khonzole lama jigin sebe ge deni gi de yo ba na so loma ten bar de ba nam gi ane deni de ba yo na de ba chuna ngi khonzole jigin jigin khonzole ngi loma jigin loma ten je ngi khonzole lab gi sebe ge deni gi de ngi dumba chi yo ba na 생이 대다의 tempa 자오서 냐마 생이 주 셰샤바당 생잉아셔 대수 연대디게 소설이야 안지 용하게 당보디 연대디 소설하나 규례 계약이 배발전 배수진 두고 그래서 되네 샤나 두신 라마딘 제오레스 아직
The final sentence, those wishing for students to rely on them should also strive to acquire these characteristics. So as mentioned earlier, that when the wish to fulfill the aspirations of the Mahayana arises in oneself, and one wants to have a transformative impact on the lives of others, then one needs to fulfill the responsibilities of a teacher, of being a spiritual guide to others. To be able to really be a spiritual guide for others, one needs to strive to cultivate these 10, in particular these 5 that are singled out by Geshe Thubten. These then one should strive to cultivate oneself.
제사다 라미 로미기야 라마티에게 삼다의 람사 아니 지게 라마디 마템바체 아니 지 당보 지게 랑기 지 이체사 라마샹달리아 니 라마디 텐다 지게도 지게 민두셈베게다 지게 고홀 기시티알라서 바당 지 라마디기 녜마 가르치 루기에 샤일라 고르타다 디네 두게 제비기 누다 민두셈베고 루기로 심주시야다 안도시는 지소속이 최양의 라마디세데 당번 라마마템바지 야네 안도시는데 안도시는 라마디기 간스난구도 안 라마디다 최시야 공어를 간도 스비 되네기 심주라 제 라메기 로미기 라마 제바제 안지도시는 누시는 제난 글리진 소소리아다 이때는 디구도 셈베기데 교양사 말에 셈베 디구 삼바이나 라마디에게 도스티야지 라메기 로미기 라마데나지 Lami de Lama Tiale Dache Jebache. Now Lama Digine, Loma Tialina, Chigiloma Jing, Kurangi, Church, Church, Chigiloma Jings, Lamsali, oh ya Malavache, Yanda Shimjuache, Anjikena, La Lomachina, Digi Minuko, that Kunola Church, I was a Kadesh to Sada, Kodinigi, Ganesh or set Edushin, Dus Chikalamsa, Machebache, Shimjuche, Jebache, and Dushin and Duloma. Loma Tengu, such. The Raja Lamigi Loma Tasha, and Lomigi Lama Tasha, Dushin and the Dushin, Jenan, Gazam Julia, and that did you to Sempegeta, Chihawan, Josona, didn't put there as water.
For the teacher-student relationship to be powerful and transformative, from the side of the student, they should not rush into a relationship. Take their time. They should get to know the teacher by assessing the quality of the accuracy of the teachings. In other words, whether the teacher is teaching in accordance with a great text or making things up. Moreover, they should inquire as to their education, inquire as to how they've lived their life. In other words, do they have a faultless reputation? So over time, that from the student side, they develop the perception that this is a teacher that they can rely on. And at the same time, from the teacher's perspective, when they arrive somewhere, they shouldn't rush into a teacher-student relationship with those coming to their teachings, but to take their time in assessing their students, assessing their level of enthusiasm, assessing their motivation and so forth. So from both sides, the relationship should be developed over time, with both sides observing the other. And this is how one establishes the foundation for a successful student-teacher relationship.
나는 로미게 챙이시오. 다 로마들에 간 스코고스 연대 계획 간 스코고스인데 다 로마들에 계획된 상황 스코고리에서 다 로미게 달라미 계획 연대 계획의 시에서시 주사를 다 로미게 계획된 고고리에서 근데마 로미 계획의 시에야 돼.
Then we've completed looking at the characteristics or the qualities of a Mahayana spiritual teacher. But for a student to be able to effectively rely on his teacher and engage in the teachings, the students also need qualities or characteristics. So that is now presented in the next section.
She Chu Sumna Dempa Shik, Nyembu Nudu Runwa Dang, Desum Tsana, and Chu Maobu Yundin, Yundin Nation Gundu Minalas.
This section starts with a quotation from Aryadeva's 400 verses. A suitable vessel, a listener, is said to be impartial, intelligent, and interested. The teacher's qualities do not appear otherwise, and nor do those of the person who listens. As the commentaries say, someone endowed with the three characteristics is a suitable vessel for hearing the teachings. If all three are complete, the excellent qualities of the Dharma teacher appear as excellent qualities and do not appear as faults.
Lo suru ne basine zhangbo chi gu re se je ding ju ji lam sa ji gyun da ya da gyun da ji da ya gyun che de ben an lo suru ne ba cha yo ma ba ji na lo suru ne ba se de ko ni kron gi mini she de zhangbo zhang xia sam da ji du xin ne an ji ge chou re me ba ji gu re se lo suru ne ba suru ne le den se de da de ne gi lo da den ba suru ne le den se de da 내가 소리 달래니게 남지기 셰럽다 여바시고라 대인나마 셰럽 여바 눈눈여와스도 냠는제게 최대 되녀제게 되녀를 dum바 여바지고 그래서 아 되니게 연대 숨 참바이나 되는 최시 냐기 아니 뇌다 덴바차고 그래서 년나 연된 공부도 줘야 여디긴 제고 그래서 년보 뇌지 셰버자스
So if the first line, the second line in the English is the first line in the Tibetan. So these list the three characteristics or three qualities of a student: impartial, intelligent, and interested. So the first of impartiality or being unbiased. This refers to an attitude that is honest and straightforward, not an attitude where one isn't seeking faults, but rather is open-minded and is not seeking faults, being honest and straightforward. That is the meaning of being impartial or unbiased in this context. The second quality is that of being intelligent. So here is someone who's using their intelligence, who's thinking for themselves, who's using in particular their analytical skills. And the third quality is of being interested or enthusiastic or curious about the Dharma. So these are the qualities for a student to be a suitable vessel.
남신도 미규 년보 라미 시대다 간실에 디니기 연대 현다 연대 여바 있나요? 다디디 로수르네 바다 로데덴 바다 지최 등이 된바디 주도세 마사바이나 은최 년비도 다다 체고 말해서 그래서 디니가선 디르와 되게 dumba면나 아니 지게 냠내 시라주 배주신 지금 말와 지난데 되게 디린 조금이야 다 유시사다 두신 라도 그러와 안디네 아직 균에 안지게 지게 로데 템바시도 다셈 지게 가소래 인간들 롭전 제기 지고 삼노 다야다 딘 매번에 즉 셈바 타다 매바데 딘 용구로 왔는데 진짜게 온데네나 아직 곧 롭전디 야고 용투 말와 안데네게 안직 되녀 dim바 여바체 데네게 랭이게 남지 셔라야 지 여데 베네 지금 람상 지균 다셔서 됐으면 균 다셔서 저와다 균 다셔서 되네기 균주 제셔서 되네 수도 수를 미네바 차르고와 제가 되네 인자디 이내 소설이야 팽이말 뇌기리에서 이야기 줘도 말해서 되네기 기주숨다 덴바 줘바네 연대 셴 대지 기주숨다 매덴바네 연대 셴다로 야고 여베네다 지가 지 최년이 뇌지 다다 년비 로전제기 다다 차기 말해서 디숨보디 여바이나다 년보보들에 최년의 뇌도 되는지 고고래서 연대로서 마서 기준을 마서나.
The second two lines, the teacher's qualities do not appear otherwise, and nor do those of the person who listens. These three qualities, if one has them as a student, then one will gain a great amount from the teachings. If any of them are lacking, what one can potentially gain will not be achieved. And amongst them, the quality of being impartial is of great importance. Because if one is not impartial, not unbiased, one will be looking for faults. One will be judgmental. One will be criticizing. And this will then immediately close one's mind to what is being said, because one is finding faults rather in, for example, how it's been said. So this is a key quality to develop. So too is the third quality of being interested or being enthusiastic. Because if one lacks interest or enthusiasm, one is going to easily be swayed by other things one needs to do. One will struggle to get out of bed and come to the class, for example. And then the second quality is also of great importance, that of intelligence, where one is actively engaging with the teaching, thinking about the meaning, so engaged with the meaning of what is being said, not merely a passive recipient, but engaging with the meaning of what is being said. If all three of these qualities are developed, one will engage well with the teachings, and one will see the qualities of the teacher. Whereas if any of these are lacking, to the degree that these qualities in oneself are lacking, one will struggle to see the qualities in the teacher. Certainly if one has a biased approach, one will be looking for faults. But if one is not enthusiastic, one may not even be there. Or if one is there, one's mind is not going to be so engaged. And similarly, if one is not using one's intelligence, because this quality of intelligence doesn't mean merely having intelligence, but using intelligence. And if one is not using one's intelligence, again, one is not going to be engaged, and thereby will not see the qualities of the teacher, nor of what he or she is saying.
Desum masana, desum matsana, desum tsana chumawi yunden du tongshin, yunden du tongshin, gyundun midanglas. Jezan denigi kecho sumde tsante bayne, chumawabe sungshibi yunden yinba de tongres, mado gyundong mares. Desum tsana chumawi yunden du nangshin, nangi gyundun midanglas.
The Lama Tsongkhapa comments on that verse. As the commentaries say, someone endowed with the three characteristics is a suitable vessel for hearing the teachings. If all three are complete, the excellent qualities of the Dharma teacher appear as excellent qualities and do not appear as faults. So in other words, if you have these good qualities, you will see the good qualities in others, such as the Dharma teacher. Whereas if they're lacking, one will struggle to see the good qualities in others.
There Maset Nyembabu Yundin Namjang Kansa Tela Yundin Nangi Gundu Minawar Songtes. Nada Nyembabu Der Maset Nyembabu Yundin Namjang Kansa Tela Yundin Nangi Gundu Minawar Songtes. The Nyembabu Sidu Chuen Yang Hengi Surada Yundin Dige Kansa Tela Sidu the Da gansa de la si de chue nian ke gansa koron la le na yende de nangri ma de gyun nang ma re sa de ya ne la mi gi gyun chue nian ge yende de ge an de ni yende ki ju sum na chang wa ju yo ba na ne ko zo koron la nian bo bo gansa de yende ju de ba wa de yende chue nian bi yende cha ge ro ji da di an de ji ge Lama le na chue nian bo bo gyun de nang ma re sa de gyön ma thong ma re sa ji 대신 예래도 최모비 연대 난걸마도 견통 말해라와 지산 되니게 나이도 최년모 보디기 년보디기 다 그런 적도 시 약로 수르님이도 라메 최송아 연대도 통화도 그런 연대로 와다 되니게 다 신행지 최년 년바이나 되네 라마디게 돌 연대 라마디게 연대 난거로 어디 고고 야원이 뒤셔서 배섬 리기로 와 제자 년간디게 라메기 연대 나도 연대 인바 통지卷毛 통나 디 최년간디게 연대 차기도 와다 최년디 연간 자다 디 아니 고 약부 년도 라메가서 어다 고 약부 년기도 배 디샤 선비게 라메 고도 연대 통구를 해서 올다 고 인사데 데라 가사 데라 연대도 나시卷的民나와送的现在卷通말해서 다 지금 로미게 라미게 연대 통제卷民나와 이제 한 라미게 로미게 두 최년비게 연다디게 봐 연대도 통제卷的낭 민나와를 해서지 능 말이 이제 되네 이제觉得 안에 냠는데 약고 용구를 해서 yar기 약고 두구를 해서 송고를 받는다다
Lama Tsongkhapa continues. Not only that, the excellent qualities of the listener also appear as excellent qualities to himself and do not appear as faults. So what this actually means is, so tying with the previous sentence, the student who possesses these three qualities of being unbiased, enthusiastic, and intelligent, when they are looking at their teacher, they will see the good qualities of their teacher as good qualities. So that's the previous sentence, and then this sentence, and seeing the good qualities of the teacher as good qualities, that would be a good quality that the students themselves possess. So that's the meaning of this third sentence. So I'll repeat it. So because it's a little different from what we see here. If the student is seeing the good qualities of their teacher as good qualities, that itself is a good quality of the student. And this is what's being recognized here in the sentence, that by seeing good qualities as good qualities, this is a good quality of the student that results from having those three characteristics of being unbiased, enthusiastic, and intelligent.
달로 수르네바 미네바제 초솔홍와 아니 데니게卷带 삼쉐바이나 안나 마사바이나 최모베 신인체 용소 다장 년법의 균이 원기 균전도 주라스데 지산데 시행디 연대 야고여바 아니 그런지 야고시여바이나 라메 연대 주여바이나 아니 년에디 그런 게 삼는날로 수르면에 뭐로 초수홍와 여바자 남산卷통하제 라미기 연대디야 연대연하고 연대디 마통하제卷大제 안두신에 냐법의卷이 원 소소리아 되는 초롱게 삼의卷여바자 니기卷통거래 해서 라미卷통거래 해서 균전도 주의라 세티바들다.
And then the final sentence, if the characteristics of a suitable vessel are not complete, the listener, under the power of his or her faults, will classify even a very pure and virtuous Dharma teacher amongst those who have faults. So here, if the student lacks these three qualities, then because of the strength of the faults in their own minds, they are going to have the qualities of the teacher will be obscured. They will not see their qualities as qualities. And again, the reason for that is due to the faults on the mind of the student who hasn't developed these three characteristics.
데니기다 로단 덴바 데니기 연대 데네 덴바 메나네 체법의 교야 연대도 진바 지산 시간지 노르지 괜지 셰베나다 지 오데 야고레샤세네 안에 지 야고셰선스변 연된의 진바 용구리 해야지 어두시네 연된지여변에 괜레샤 지 괜시에변에 어리 야고시기도 야고레샤선 비게 어디네게 지산 레니게 넘버 체 매바다 아니 지 괜다디 넘버 체 예와 체마신나 괜지시나 야고레선 연대진에 야고레섬드네 아니 지게 지게 노르치모 차냐가 여러 와서 디자 디네 자다 레니 넘버 체와서 지 시럽치고 그래서 디네 아니 로수르네와 메나 연대지 통만에 직견주제야다 디네 견다 다통을 견동그래서 지자 디네게 인자 네 로수르네바다 로다데바다 되니제 숨디여와 친이디 주고바디 김전디리에서 체법을 교야 연대의 진발 제발이 송소어선 디네게 도신 제반나 송요레서
The final part of the paragraph, and they will perceive the teacher's faults as qualities. So again, due to, perhaps you can say, the abundance or the strength of faults in the mind of the student, the faults of the teacher, they will perceive as good qualities. They'll take a liking to the faults of the teacher. So again, what we have here is that due to the dominance of perhaps a biased approach or being unenthusiastic about the teachings or not really engaging with their intelligence, they are either or both going to see the qualities of the teacher as faults and the faults of the teacher as qualities.
근데 제와를 손소세 제와데 대시 우마시 예바게 자와 손로와 자와데 디 자와세데 대시 르 지게비 제비 지게 순열로데 되냐라와스 안년보니제 자와 시에시 직제 디게 제와 여러와 디날데 손샤하세 월다 제와를 손소세데 다디디 견듬 디 나와서 월다 디수 대시에 되나디 가와시의 체바부의 년바부의 균이 왕게 균의 통그레 체바부의 균시에바나 연대지바 용구리스는 디제와나 바송샤하세데 우마시게비게 직디게 자와나나 도스 송샤하세월.
And Lama Tsongkhapa here is making reference to the commentaries of the Arideva's 400 stanzas. So we see it at the very beginning of this paragraph, that Lama Tsongkhapa is making reference to the commentaries to the Arideva's 400 verses.
다디 닝아 저기 지 소소게 다디 닝아들에 대시 여러 바데 소소게 다 소소게 예외 초 소소래 가위 미지기 지기 되스 마디 버시나 아디기 교야마 야고시에서사다 지간 지 소소야 마가사다 소소게 저 나말 미지기 지 야고라시 디 제라샤샤마서 거기 디네 레면하고 되네 시도 왔으니 남산 교한다다 디네 지소나로 영여 바로와 안디나시다 최시간에 년보게 이제 로스르니바 메디 랑기 초게 직지 제데네 가사이 직셰베는 노트션 오더리 다바리 사다 야지 랑기 되스 되오메사다 마가스 직되스 디디 추시니에나 오데디디 다바말 코디기 민스베 데네기 응원에 셰바이나 데네기 노르타야 용고레시산 로스르니바 고야디 게침보리 해서 노스모르바다.
What's presented here really can happen all too easily if one is lacking these three qualities. One, as a student, these three characteristics, one will see faults where faults are not really there. And a way that we see this very clearly in society is when someone speaks or acts or has an opinion that is not in accordance with our own views, with our own preferences, with our own prejudices. We complain and we criticize. This is how it works in society. So as mature students, we should be aware of this, and we should bear this in mind when we are in teachings. Be aware of this common way of thinking and guard our mind from this.
Lomalya 지금 량예게 남의 제비게 셰랍다 여바나 지난 남미기 마 지금 저기 최다 미준비게 아니 지금 마 디제고를 셰바이나 디 제고요 말스 인고요 말에서 최다 미준비게 자와지 제고를 슬라미게 라바이나 안디 냥고요 말이스 제사 두스나 라미게 간나메나 딘디기 라마시 라바이나 제사 로마디게 다디 최다 둥이데 미니 최다 미팅 바디 다디 최다 미팅 바이 바세고 하고 바이나 근데디 고드나 제와요 마르킬린 제와요 말이스 모두스네 순고르와 상유 점단데 랑게 순고르 제사 최다 미팅 바마와니 도벌자고 오세네 제사 딘디 최다 미팅 바시 송바이나 디 라미 순고도세네 인지미지디 두고요 말아지킬린 제오요 말에스 마진 지고레스 오라.
And a point of great importance to make in our closing minutes is that whilst it's clear that one is being encouraged to attend teachings with an attitude that is, with a mind that is open and receptive and engaging with one's intelligence, not focusing on faults but looking for good qualities. Whilst one should engage in this way, if the teacher makes an error in the teachings, in terms of an error with the Dharma, or if they really misrepresent the Dharma, they say something that is actually contradictory to the Dharma, then this should not be accepted. The Buddha himself said this, that you could even express it as the Buddha gave the instruction to students that should teachings not be in accordance with the Dharma, they are to be rejected. They are not. There is not only no compulsion to follow them; they should not be followed.
당원은 바직 소속에 아달라미 손에 시우가제 괜지지레스네 바 지게제 안 간섬질야 안젤야 오달라마디게 지지 노트지도 니니 노트지도 세는데 가다야데 시울리그로 와든 데네 라마딜레 견주셔야다 가다야데 딘시르데 안데 다다차고 말 저자 디네자 당본은 로마딜레 로수르도 로다데 마치고리 에세디 게침보레 디송고라 저자 로다데 바 량예게데 지체다 tumba dig도 dig면도 랭이 넘버 쳐봐 되는 시에 다 지금 되는 최대 미tumba 셔바나 되는 두신에데 제거야 말해서 돼. 세상 견다 된바디原来的 마통 견인바 하고 와지原来的 셔야바디原来임 하고 와지 두신은 고려해서 돼. 다 되는 게 당한 저게 다 지금 다른 안주 기주셔야 되게 최세긴 게 라마 약보디게 계셔든지 고려해서 다 로마디게 라마야 땡지 로마 약보디기 계시든지 고래서 당한저 약보디기 기시오라데 다 자사 딘디 계셔 된바 유비 내가 차기를 해서는 내가 요 말을 받아대 로마래 용말 라마래 용말 받아대 네 인자는 가지고 라마 땡야들 땡야들 제사 이제 다 디송한저 지 약비 차리래 왜 디고로 받아
It's important here that as a student, one should listen with an impartial approach, with a mind that is not looking for faults, looking to criticize. Then one's mind is open and spacious, and with an enthusiasm and with using one's intelligence, one will hear the Dharma and the Dharma teaching, and one will be thinking about the meaning, thinking for oneself, using analysis. And in this way, one can come to see whether the teachings are in accord with the Dharma or not. Whereas if one's mind is closed from the outset, one has a biased approach looking for faults, one's not going to be able to engage properly with the teachings. One's mind is too closed. Similarly, if one lacks enthusiasm, one's not engaging. If one lacks intelligence, one isn't curious. Or if one is not using one's intelligence, one is not really thinking about the meaning of what's being said. So in all cases, if these qualities are lacking, one will not really be knowing if the teaching is in accordance with the Dharma or not. And then when one is engaging well and listening well, when one finds a teaching, it appears that a teaching is incorrect or is not in accordance with the Dharma, then one should inquire, ask questions. What one should not do is criticize, wag one's finger, and so forth. One should continue to have a decent attitude. But by all means, one should ask and inquire. And then furthermore, what's been explained here in brief in this section and in the previous section in more detail is the ideal qualities that a teacher should have, so ideally all 10, as well as here for the student, ideally should have all 3. So if these two come together, a qualified teacher with a qualified student, then spiritual development will come about quickly. But this is the ideal situation. Whether this is the situation in every instance, this is not certain. But this is the ideal.
Dembata, Denige Lamatsila Chu Shuche, Nyamnechi, Go Bravo Shosibiki, Dang, Jiki, Molam Jada, Dushene, Chagorwa, Dineza Dene, Juge, Lama Denichi, Lamigi Kishu, Takwachimbe, Lam Yamni Rimba, Tibet Lami Kishu, Denish Ungur, to the Denigi Kishu, Dembelamati, Yakurawa, Sambegi, Denigi, Ya, Jiki Devata, and the Jiki Ungishep. Gubakiada, and Sosugi, Yamlen Chalia, Deniji Lamachi, Teche, Yamlen Chejangi, and Sanjoko New Toposha, Sanjil, Semjalia, Pampa Yachim, Tutubuke, the New Shores and Begi, Denigi, and some Dada, Molam Jadang, Duschadi, Nazu Kewatubene, Did and I in Sampe, some Taji, and Geshe Thubten the Yungurua, or Duchina some Tangway Shagata Dinim. And Dinma that did the Kichu Sumdi, Dian Jelia. We've
completed then looking at the characteristics of a teacher, and we've started to look at those of the student. So here part of what we can take away from this is that we should continue to make prayers in our dedications, to be always qualified, to be always guided by fully qualified teachers from life to life. And being under their care, we make prayer to utilize the opportunities as best we can, so that we can strive to become enlightened for the sake of others. So therefore, in your prayers of aspiration, you aspire to be guided by qualified teachers from life to life, in order to spiritually develop so as to be of ever more benefit to others. So this is a virtuous way to think, and this is a virtuous way to cultivate great merit and cultivate the causes to ensure that we stay connected to qualified teachers. So next time we'll continue from here, and I've just briefly presented the qualities of a student, and next time we'll look at them in more detail.
Denigi Susaranga Lama Dinig Tingi Demba Joba and Anigidina, Serapne Serapado, Lamadi, Aniji, didn't the church and Yamajo, Brava Shores, Vida, Molam Jad, Chagua, Yawa Kundoyada, Lama, that Tamichi, Pelonji, Sadalami and Rabten Dorje Chango, Nudo Shores, and Molam Dingurba, Yawa Kundoyada, Lama, that Tamichi, Pelonji. Sadalami and Rabzone Dorje Chango, Nudo Shores, and Molam Dini City Dingurba, Dandala Garsone, Rangi Tingi, Lamadi, Dinikish, the Yudu by the Lamadin, Gedina, Teramne, Terrapodon, Sanjoko, Matogi, by the Lamadis, Chu, Yamen Jene, and the Sanjoko, Nikoma Tomo Shores, Vigida, Nichi, Molam Jagorba, than I did water. City Marona, the Nation Digro. The injury there.
So if one has such a teacher, then I encourage you to make prayers. And in the prayers written by great lamas, there are several in this regard, that when one recites with sincerity, this serves to strengthen, through this sincere aspiration, it serves to strengthen our connection with our lamas, and that we can continue from life to life to meet them, to recognize them and be guided by them. In this way, rapidly spiritually develop. And Geshe quoted one from Lama Tsongkhapa, which goes something like, "In all my lives never separated from perfect lamas, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma, and through training in the qualities of the stages of the path, quickly achieve the state of Vajradhara." So there are prayers such as that and others that I encourage you to recite. Then thank you. Then thank you very much.